at what we found. It's a big sound in a small town. Far from the bright lights, they're making music every night. Hear what is all around. It's a big sound in a small town. It's a big sound in a small town. It's a big sound in a small town.
So the name of this song is Caudle Mountain. Where I grew up, I was telling you, down there close to Randleman in Millboro, I went to Bethany Church, which was a Methodist church, and across the road is called Caudle Mountain. It's basically a hill, but in Randolph County it's a mountain, right?
Gotcha, yeah.
Not like here. And the Caudles and the Parrises, the generations, we were always best friends. My Uncle Joey was best friends with Scott. I was best friends with Jeremy. And so it was during all this political stuff, and I imagined what went on Caudle Mountain during the Civil War.
Right, yeah, got you.
So I wrote this song, and it's called Caudle Mountain. Grew up together on a mountain under the sun. Joe and Scott barefooting on a run. Joe's daddy was a preacher, and Scott, he had none. Brothers never had this much fun. Well, there's a fire on Caudle Mountain. Our two best friends sent a fighting. One blue coat and one gray cap. When they left, they only had this to say: well, I'll see you there, I'll see you on the other side. I hope we both get out of this alive. I'll see you there on the other side. In command, staring over at the grave. Every time he shot, he wondered if it found its way. But his aim was straight and he killed many men. He couldn't sleep at night, he couldn't run from his sin. Well, there's a fire on Caudle Mountain. Oops. Two best friends sent a fighting. One blue coat and one gray cap. When they left, they only had this to say: well, I'll see you there, I'll see you on the other side. I hope we both get out of this alive. I'll see you there on the other side. Gettysburg attack, brave with Pickett's charge. Joe got shot, he hit the ground so hard. He looked up at Scott, his legs they would not run. They held him as he died on that hill in the sun. Well, there's a fire on Caudle Mountain. The two best friends sent a fighting. One blue coat and one gray cap. When they left, they only had this to say: well, I'll see you there, I'll see you on the other side. My name is Michael Parris. I am from Randolph County, North Carolina, a little town called Millboro. Millboro is famous for a guy named Daner Johnson that he won a World Series, a World Fair trophy in the 30s, I believe, playing the banjo.
Oh, really?
And he was the local bum. Like, he would sleep in people's barns.
Right.
And another fella that you've heard of lived there too, named Charlie Poole.
Yeah, Charlie Poole.
Okay, so I know Eden claims Charlie Poole, but
Right.
me and Millboro claim that Daner Johnson taught Charlie Poole to play the banjo.
Ah, okay.
And my grandfather, Red Parris, actually knew Daner because Daner was, he had an old dog and would go around with his banjo.
Right.
And my grandpa played music with Daner and did play on the radio.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's what Millboro's famous for.
And where is that? What's the big city there? Randleman?
Randleman, yeah. Famous for Richard Petty.
Exactly, yep.
And I'm Richard Petty's fourth cousin.
There you go.
Which was my claim to fame all through elementary school,
I can even see the resemblance, you
Yeah.
know? If you put a hat on, man, I mean, you're pretty close.
Yeah, I got a good picture of us together. Like, right before I went to Peace Corps, I went up there to see him, and I got a good picture, and that's what kind of can see the resemblance in it.
Peace Corps, let's talk about that.
Yeah. I was working at Klausner Furniture in Ashboro, and it was right after 9/11.
Right.
And I had just got frustrated with everything, and I was making real good money. I was going to school at night at UNCG, and there was a booth for Peace Corps. And I remember those commercials when we were kids, the greatest job you ever loved.
Sure, yeah.
Right after the Flintstones.
Right.
And so I went and signed up and turned in my application, and I got a letter back, and I had 3 or 4 interviews. And it was like, well, do I leave this job as an engineer at Klausner, or do I join the Peace Corps at 30?
Right.
So my Uncle Joy calls me, and he said, and Uncle Joy, who I always play music with, the only person, he called me and said, hey, man, I got John Prine tickets tonight. You want to go see him? And I had seen him 3 or 4 times, and I was tired. And he said, yeah, and he said, somebody's opening for him. He said, John Snider. And I heard that, and I thought it was Bo Duke, all the Duke boys.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, we got to go see that, man. And when we got there, it was Todd Snider. And he opened for John, and I'd never been the same since. He played this song, Horseshoe Lake. And during Horseshoe Lake, I looked over at my Uncle Joy, and I said, I'm joining the Peace Corps. Concert got over, went out, shook John Prine's hand, Todd Snider's hand. The next morning, I called in the 1-800 number and joined the Peace Corps and put in my notice at work.
Wow.
And so I went to Westmoreland, Jamaica, a little town called Seaford Town, and became a water sanitation advisor.
Ah.
And the first night I was there, they have these things called Big Sound in Jamaica. I don't know where they bring out all these big speakers. The first night I was there, they brought out all these big speakers, and they were blasting Johnny Cash.
Really? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here I am in Jamaica.
Expecting like Bob Marley,
Bob
expecting
Marley.
some kind of reggae stuff, and then you get there, it's Johnny Cash.
Yeah, it's Ring of Fire.
That's funny. That is really funny.
So then come to find out, Johnny Cash actually lived in St. James, which was about 45 minutes away from where I was. So everyone around there, because Johnny lived there in,
Right.
I guess, the 80s. I think John Carter actually was there too. Was a big Johnny Cash fan.
That's
so
great,
it was
man.
Country music. Everybody loved country music. So I was immediately famous for my accent, right?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody loved me.
Yeah, right. That's great. I mean, that's really good. Yeah, because the accents are distinct there, for sure. So, I mean, yours would definitely stand out.
It did, for sure.
So how was the Peace Corps?
I mean, it was really good, man. I was a water sanitation advisor. I did a project with USAID, and I got drinking water for 421 people.
That's great.
And what a catchment tank is, it's basically the side of a mountain that's concrete, and it drains into a huge catchment tank. And we had 4 pipes going to standpipes where people could go get water.
Right.
Because before that, they'd go to the river, or they'd have to boil it.
Right.
We even got some money from USAID where we were able to put chlorine tabs into the tank. That way, it would kill all the bad stuff, and they could drink right out of the pipe.
Oh, that's great. Were you playing music during that time?
I mean, that's when I started playing, actually. I started writing. There was a gentleman there named Mr. Chang who played, and I had nothing really to do at night. You know, you could sleep once. Sometimes we had electricity. Sometimes we didn't.
Right.
And he brought me a guitar over, and we just started playing together. And when I was in Jamaica, I think I wrote 3 songs.
That's cool.
And you know, everything that since then, I guess I wrote a lot more. But that's kind of where it started.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So you stayed there 3 years?
Yep, 2 years, 9 months. Married a Jamaican lady.
Oh, that's cool.
Came back, had a little girl, Madison. Unfortunately, we got divorced. And I still communicate with everyone that's still alive. A lot of my friends down there have passed away, unfortunately, but I still communicate and still kind of part of that community down there.
That's cool, man. That's really cool. So when you get back to the States, what happens?
Well, I get back to the States, and 3 days after being back, I get a phone call from a company that I worked at before, Ultracraft, and I went right back to work as being a process engineer.
Yeah, there you go.
So, and I guess about when COVID hit, my Uncle Joy, who I reference, and I reference him in my songs a lot, he was the only guy I kind of played with. We'd go fishing together, we'd play, I'd go over to his house. He'd take me to Robert Earl King concerts when I was 15.
Nothing wrong with that.
Prine and Jerry Jeff Walker. I mean, he just, all that music that I wouldn't know about,
right,
thanks to him. Right?
Yeah. The wonderful music of the world,
yeah,
without a doubt.
Yeah, and it kind of shaped me, and we would go catfishing or something. I'd bring out the guitar and we'd write some funny song. And unfortunately, he got terminal cancer. And what he wanted us to do was write his funeral songs. So for his funeral, I would play his songs. So we wrote a bunch of songs together, and we did. I played him at his funeral when he passed away, but right before he went into hospice, he didn't want me to see him when he was in hospice. He made me promise that I would get my songs out there.
Right.
And so after he passed away, it was about the same time John Prine passed away. John Prine, I think, was a week later. And I wrote a song called A Prayer for John Prine, and I posted it on the John Prine site. You know, they have all these Facebook sites and stuff. And Fiona liked it, and Will Kimbrough liked it. And so I knew that Will Kimbrough was in the Nervous Wrecks with Todd.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked him up, and I saw that he had songwriting classes that he taught online. So I signed up and started taking them, and we just became fast friends and were able to write a lot of songs together. And he told me about this place called Mercyland in Hot Springs, which is a songwriters conference with Cindy Morgan, Phil Madera, and you go up there for 3 days and you write songs with the pros. So I went up there and signed up, and I played that song, A Three-Legged Dog Named Bo, for Cindy, and she pulled me aside after I played it and said, "You need to do a project." And, you know, here I am kind of blown away. I've just been doing open mics and playing for family and friends. And so it kind of gave me the confidence, right? Mm-hmm. So I just started writing more and more and more. And Cindy, she's just such a brilliant lady, a Renaissance lady, really. She's got 10 Dove Awards. I think Amy Grant is the only person that's got more Christian Music Awards than her.
Yeah.
She's got a book coming out now about the civil rights movement in Kentucky in the 60s. So she's got her first novel coming out.
Wow.
And so she's really into the arts and has really pushed me to become better. So I started writing with her, too. So then I'm writing with Cindy Morgan and Will. And one morning I was cooking. It was a Sunday morning, September 5th. I was cooking, actually fried chicken, and my daughter didn't want fried chicken. We were arguing. She wanted pizza. And the phone rings, but it wasn't like a regular phone call. It was a Facebook Messenger, and it said Kathy Kicksmiller. And I knew Kathy was with Todd, but I was like, well, why is she calling me, right? And so I pick up the phone, and she says, "Hi, Michael. This is Kathy with Todd Snider. And he's been listening to your music the last couple months, and we've had an opening. Aaron Lee Tastian can't open for him tonight. Would you like to do it?" So, and I don't know how long I froze,
yeah,
but I'm sure I did, because Todd Snider's, like, after seeing him with John, became like one of my favorites.
Sure, Todd's fabulous, without a doubt.
He's just a genius.
Yeah, he is.
I can't think of a better songwriter or someone that can take you away, you know.
A better storyteller. He's the best storyteller in America.
He is, yes. And he can tell the same story to you 3 times in a row, and it gets funnier every time.
It does, because he adds something or takes something away,
So I jump in the car, man, and I'm driving.
Where Charleston,
Charleston,
South Carolina?
4.5 hours away. They thought I was in South Carolina.
Oh.
They didn't know I was in North Carolina.
Ah,
And so I got to get down there for sound check by 4:30. And on top of all this, I kind of had a bad back at this time. I still kind of fight that.
oh Lord.
So I'm driving and my back starts locking up.
Oh,
So I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? This is my chance. So I pull into a CVS, hit the exit, and I buy some Biofreeze, right?
mm-hmm.
So I spray a little on my back, and I feel better, and I drive on down there. I get down there, and Brian Kincaid, that's Todd's manager, and he walks me in. He hooks me up with the sound. I've never done a sound check in my life. This is my first paying show ever at Charleston Music Hall. They set me up. I do my sound check, and the whole time my back's hurting, right? So we get done. Brian says, that's great. Told me to do 30 minutes, songs. I still had no idea what I was going to do, right? I hadn't even had time to think about it.
Oh, wow.
So I go back in, I have my notepad, and I asked him, I said, I don't have these songs memorized because I've never had to do that before.
Right.
Can I use a music stand? Yeah, take whatever you want. So I set up my music stand, I get out my songs, and my back locks up.
Oh, Lord.
So here I am getting ready, the time of my life. The crowd's out there, so I just take that Biofreeze, man, and I just spray my back till it's frozen, right? And I'm like, oh. So I get out there and I sit down. And about the time I sit down, that Biofreeze runs all down my pants and freezes my ass.
That's hilarious.
So I'm opening up for Todd Snider with a frozen ass. And Brian looks at me and says, go. And man, I was thinking so much about how stupid I was for spraying Biofreeze all down my back that I wasn't nervous.
That's funny.
And I mean, I really did. For my first show ever, I think I really nailed it and impressed some people. Even Todd and Brian and the crowd, you know. And so that was how I got discovered.
Wow.
By Todd.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a crazy story.
Yeah, and now like Brian, I can call him if there's a show, and he'll give me a pass to go to the show.
Wow, that's cool.
I got to go to Elkin a couple months ago and hang out with Todd and talk about songwriting.
All right, that's cool.
They gave me tickets to the Ryman when Todd had his show during Americana Fest last year.
Wow.
I could go down there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Todd's a great guy.
Yeah. And I think the cool thing about it is too, you learn that your heroes are really as kind of cool as you thought they were.
Some of them are.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them are really.
And that's like where Will comes into it. And I feel like maybe I haven't given him enough credit. Is he, from the minute that we started taking classes together, he had an interest in my writing because he thought it was unique and honest, and has pushed me and has done so many things for me. It's like next spring, I went up to see Will at the Martha Bassett show. Next spring, I got a slot at the Martha Bassett show.
Oh, see, that's great.
Yeah, and just because these guys are behind me, Will
Right.
and Todd and like Cindy and even Phil Madera at Mercyland, you know, he's pushed me. And we're actually going to record a song together. I get to record with the Red Dirt Boys because it's not too late. We're going to record this toward the end of the summer.
Oh, that's really cool. Where are you going to do that at?
Nashville.
So where did you got a project? Tell them about the project.
Yeah, not long after opening for Todd, a man that I met, a Will Kayak, at Phil Madera's Mercyland, he started flying down to see me. He's from Detroit. And I'd have a show at the Flying Biscuit in Raleigh. And he'd come down and listen. I'd see him in the corner. He'd come talk to me one Friday, and then he'd leave Saturday, fly back to Detroit. The next Friday, he was there again.
Wow, that's crazy.
The third time he came, he said, I want to produce your record. And I didn't know what that meant. You know, I knew I wanted to do a project with all these people. And he says, yeah. He says, I want to be the first person to produce your record. He says, you're unique. He says, you have a ability to tell the same story that someone else has told, but it sounds different. And so I said, yeah. So the next thing I know, I'm in Dark Horse Recording Studio with four-time Grammy winner Andy Leftwich,
Right.
Court Clement, Emmy Lou's bass player, Chris Donahue,
Mm-hmm.
Emmy Lou's drummer, Brian Owens. Unfortunately, he had to leave, so we ended up having Steve Brewster there, a guitar player named Court Clement, and we recorded our first 6 songs.
Wow.
There. And he liked them so much that we went back and got Cowboy Arms, which is Cowboy Jack Clement's old studio. Cowboy Bob is Jack Clement's nephew. He runs it. And we recorded 7 more and brought in Dan Dugmore.
Yeah, steel player.
Who's probably one of the greatest pedal steels in the last.
He's one of my favorites.
And So he was on my last 3 singles that we released. So
Wow.
It's just been, I mean, I went from playing the Flying Biscuit to 3 people over bachelorette parties to opening for Todd Snider to making an album. And, you know, Will Kimbrough was on the album, too, with all these great musicians.
Yeah, that's fabulous. You also have, we're sitting here and we're talking about your songwriting, but you also have a unique playing style. So tell us about how that came about.
Yeah, well,
Because you didn't start out with this style, right?
no.
Okay.
I was the old, you know, I was the regular way.
Right.
Trying that way. And I knew this style before because I've seen people play it, right?
Right.
Dobros,
Yeah.
guitars, and but I always cook on New Year's Eve. I grow sweet potatoes. I used to be an organic farmer. I'm not anymore. But I didn't have enough sweet potato for my pie. So I got on the front porch and it was kind of cold. And when I went to cut the sweet potato, the back pin in the knife broke and cut my finger 3/4 of the way off.
That's not good for a musician.
It is not.
It's not good for not a musician, but particularly for a musician.
Yeah, it was, and I don't really remember what happened next. I do know, I remember my neighbor, C.L. Hickerson, came and picked me up and took me to the hospital. I remember they said that we're going to take your finger off.
Yeah.
And I said, do you have to? And they said, no, but I get the tendon and it actually went back. And it was just a mess, you know, and I asked them not to, so they reattached it. Did not think I'd ever have any movement out of it. Luckily, I had a great surgeon, and I got a little bit of movement, but I couldn't play guitar anymore.
Right.
And to be honest with you, I sucked before. I was not that good. So it actually helped me in a weird way. So I started playing it like a dobro.
Yeah.
You know, I'd tune it open and start playing and gain more strength back in my hand. Now, this didn't happen for about 6 months because I was in traction. I actually had this fancy cast with all these rubber bands, and this was tied to my chest for 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
Before I got all that back. But about 6 months later, I started playing. And
This was this before all this other stuff came about?
This was before Will.
Was this before the Peace Corps?
This was after.
After the Peace Corps, but before the other deal.
Before
I'm
the
getting
other
timeline here. All right.
Yeah. Before, and I had no, and I still didn't until, you know, Todd called me. I had no delusions of grandeur.
Right.
I just wanted to
Be able to play and write, yeah.
You know, play songs and write. And then like the guy from Matthews Guitar, Matt Polymus, who's also a big Todd Snider fan, saw me playing online a lot and kind of became a fan, and we started discussing why I played the way I did. And he built me this guitar Maybelline, which is fan fretted. The strings are closer together, and the strings are also closer to the frets, so I can use open tunings.
Right.
And I started off with just like 3 chords, everything I would
Yeah.
play.
Right.
And even up to the point where I went to Mercyland, I only had 3 chords. And that's when Phil Madera set me down, and like that song Consequence, I had
Right.
some minors. So he taught me how to play minors.
Right.
And so.
That's pretty cool. I mean, it's amazing how your life has just pieced itself together. I mean, almost like a destiny.
Yeah, I pinch myself daily thinking about who I was before Will Kimbrough.
That's cool, man.
Like I was just at home playing Flying Biscuit, you know, $50 here, $50 there. And then it's still not about the money at all. I mean, my first paid show ever was Todd, right?
Right.
But I was somebody, but no one knew who I was.
Right.
But once Will saw me and kind of took me under his wing, and I mean, he would call me. I would write a song, and he'd give me advice. I've just taken off from
That's great.
And if nothing else ever happens again,
You're good.
I'm good, man.
That's
Everything
good.
else is a cherry on.
Right. Yeah, I got you. So what you got in the future?
Well, we just released July 1st the album Honeybee,
Right.
and it's on Spotify. It's Michael C. Parris. It couldn't be Michael Parris because there's a reggae singer, Michael Parris. So I had to put my initial in.
Got you. And you would know all about that, spending time in Jamaica.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of ironic.
That is pretty ironic.
And I've used up all my vacation days at work, so I have a few more left this year. But my plan is on October 15th at Odin Brewing in Greensboro, North Carolina, where we're going to have an album release party.
No, that's cool.
6:30 to 9. I was trying to get Will there, but I think he's got to play with Emmy Luce. He's a little bit more important than me.
Yeah.
I got a good friend of mine that I write songs with, Peter Rogan. He's going to come play guitar, and we're going to get some other guys in, and we're going to have a good show there. And I don't really have any shows booked after that, just because of my vacation days.
Right, I
have
understand.
like a week left, but come January, I get my 6 weeks back.
There you go. So you start over again.
Start over and start booking. And the one that I'm really happy about is the Martha Bassett show at the Reeves Theater, because so many fine musicians
Yeah,
come
that's
through.
good. Yeah, I agree.
And that's just a feather in my cap that I'm really excited about playing there in the spring.
You got an agent?
I do not have anything. I am just like I contacted you.
Right.
I've been the old school man. I've been sending CDs out to different radio stations,
Right.
different people, and some people don't listen, and some people
Yeah,
do. Right?
I mean that's part of that's part of it. And I think probably at this point you're okay without one, but if it continues the way it is, you may have to have one.
Yeah, and one of the things that I really enjoy doing is writing, and co-writing to me it opens up so much, and that's where Cindy is. Like I got to co-write last month with Drew Ramsey, who has a Grammy in Nashville.
Yeah.
He's just an amazing writer, and I'm hoping the more people hear my songs, the more people are going to want to write with me.
Yeah.
Because that's what I want to be a writer, right?
Yeah. Oh,
I wrote a song this morning. I try to write 3 or 4 songs a week, whether they're good or bad.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, I spent a large portion of my life as a writer, so that is cool. What else we need to know?
Man,
Have we missed anything? That's a pretty interesting
trying to think
story
if
in
we
a.
missed anything. Well, I did send John Carter Cash some Scotch bonnet pepper seeds. So we became friends kind of through the Instagram, and he gave me his address because he lived in Jamaica too. I let him know where I lived and told him the story about
Right.
them playing Johnny Cash that night. So I guess a couple of days ago I was looking on his Instagram site, and he was showing off his Scotch bonnet peppers that he
that's
got
pretty
for
cool.
me. So that was kind of cool, full circle with John Carter. And the
Yeah.
first night I was in Jamaica, they played.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I agree. Do you have a website?
I do have a website. It's michaelcparris.com. I just got it up. It's got all my links to my streaming stuff. In January, we're going to have vinyls. I have some shirts being ordered, so we're going to put all the merch on there. And
Do you have Instagram, stuff like
I
that?
have Instagram, Facebook, and there are links there. Like you go on the website and you'll see the Facebook.
Right,
You can
exactly.
Click on it.
Okay, that's good then.
And most what you'll find there is where I started playing. You'll see me with my guitar in my kitchen.
Oh, that's
right
cool.
in front of my stove, and I have a lot of videos that I'll just post some songs and see who likes them.
There you go.
Right.
You have an interesting story.
Yeah. I've been blessed, and I am very grateful.
Yeah, I understand that. I can see it. It seems like a destiny to me, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
All right.
All the songs on my album, I had that great band. I call them the Nine Finger Chicken String Band. Will Kimbrough and Court Clement and Andy Leftwich, Chris Donahue. But I'm a acoustic folk singer, right? So the last song on my album, I wanted it to be just me and the guitar. So I did this song. The name of this song is Consequence. Not who I used to be. Not where I thought I'd be back then. Some days I wanna run, I just can't take it anymore. Don't judge me, my friend, I do enough of it. I think about the ones I done wrong, and trust me, I do know about the consequence. knowing right from wrong. Life's not a fairy tale, star-crossed lovers in the end, a kiss can't save us from ourselves. True love will let you down and turn your smile into a frown. Don't judge me, my friend, I do enough of it. Think about the one I done wrong. And trust me, I do know about the consequence. Knowing right from wrong. I can't run from myself. Ain't no man built to win that race. I can't change it anyway. How did I end up here at this fork in the road? Forge me another path back down. I know a bird will fly just to see the other side. Don't judge me, my friend, I do enough of it.